Hello everyone, it's Amy. Welcome back for my April block in the Roxy's Journal of Stitchery challenge. So the prompts this month were vintage quilt and cozy cottage. So last month when I did my background for last month, I used a vintage quilt then behind my butterfly. And this is the only vintage quilt that I have that I would use for something like this, because this quilt was just a quilt top that was never finished. And but it is tattered and it has some holes and stuff in it. So it is not a quilt that I would finish. So it's something that I think I don't have a problem with using it, because whoever put all the work into putting it together, I'm sure would prefer that than to have it to be thrown away. So, but I don't want to use the same background 2 months in a row. So I've decided, my mother made quilts for all of her grandchildren when they graduated from high school. And each one was allowed to pick out whatever color they wanted. And she did the split rail fence for all of them. And then I still have all of the leftovers from all of those quilts. So I went through and I just grabbed some of the pieces of those quilts, because I figured, they may not be vintage. I don't know how old you call vintage, but they are from about 20, well, maybe 15 years ago. And further back than that. So I thought, well, those are bits of a quilt that just didn't finish, get into the quilt. And so that's what I'm going to go through for my vintage quilt parts. It may not be exactly right, but, like I said, I do have other quilt pieces, but I wouldn't cut them apart, or I have actually other quilts. And I even have a few finished quilt tops, but they're not something I would cut apart because they're prepared to be finished. So that's what I'm going to do for my vintage quilt. And, the kids picked some really pretty colors and bright colors and stuff at the time when they chose them. So they might be really good for my whimsical house too, or my country cottage. But first thing I have to do is I need some more bases, because I cut 6, but we've already done January, February, March, and then I have 2 of the sample pages and my cover page. So when I ripped out my pages, I did not think to make enough. And then I don't know where this white fabric is. I don't know if I even have any left. So I just have some muslin here, and I'm going to use that because it will be just fine. I was opened this up to I'm going to take this one out and use that as my guide for how long it needs to be. When I took this out, I'm pretty sure it's going to be exactly the right width. So that's really cool. I had used this for something else, and this is what was left. Now, this does have what they call, I think they call this the salvage edge, the edge that keeps it together. On each side of the fabric when you buy it comes that way. If I cut that off, it's not going to be wide enough, because this is literally just the right size. So I'm going to leave that on there. That doesn't bother me at all. This is just like a base to sew everything to, so it doesn't matter that is that's there. Was that even folded in the right place? Pretty much so, just barely under the fold there. Actually, I think, well, if I make it too long, it's not gonna, well, let's just do one and we'll see if it'll fit in the book. I think I'm gonna do it right on the fold, because I'm gonna cut, this is our 4th month, so we need 2 more. And so I think I'm gonna do 3 more or 4 more, just in case, so that I have enough. Since when I did exactly the right amount, it wasn't really the right amount because I didn't think forward. All right, let's get to our page here. All right, this one is going to go right here, like that. So is it going to be too long? Not really. I think that's all right. Maybe if I just selvage is not going to rip through that way very easy, so I'm going to cut that off. Yeah, that's going to fit okay. So we're just going to go with that. And I'm going to do just a couple more really quick so that I have them. So I wonder if the other, we'll go to the other end. It's not as wrinkled. So let's see, we have 3. We have January, February, March. So we need April, May, and June. Oh, that fold's going to be just a touch shorter, so that's perfect. Okay, so there's April and May and June. And then we'll just do a couple extras so that I have them, because you never know if you might want to do something different, or if something happens to one of them. There we go. That'll be enough. Okay, so now we have the rest of the pages for our book. And then we have to start out this week by getting our background together. Again, the background is Vintage Quilt. So I'm going to use those pieces to put together my background. I'm going to put these in the book because I'm not sure if I really didn't cut enough pages or if I just wound up using them for something else because they weren't in the book or with the book and I didn't realize what they were for. I'm not 100% positive. But I think I did actually just cut 6 because I was thinking 6 months, 6 backings. Okay. So there we go. That gets us to the last. And actually there's an extra page in here too, I believe. There we go. Okay, so let's do that. Back up to here and take this one out. So yeah, I just think that I am having a really good time with this. Stitching is not something that I've ever done. My mother, after she got to the point where she couldn't make her quilts anymore, she used to do a lot of different like pillowcases and that type of thing, you know, to keep her hands busy. So it just kind of wasn't my thing, but now I'm really liking it. I think it's really fun. So, and if you think you can't do it, I thought I couldn't do it. I don't sew. That's one of the things that I've just never really been that interested in, probably because my mom sewed, you know, and you know, when you're young, you think, oh, I don't want to do my mom's stuff. But even though I've never really sewn, I've never really done any kind of embroidery or embroidery stitches, it really is fun and it is easy. So you can do it if you think you want to join along. All right, so for the background then, I have these bits, and I even have a piece of, here are some pieces of a quilt that she had started a long time ago, and it was never finished. Now, I could use some of these to make a pillow or something with, and these are all, you know, just really, really nice pieces of quilt. You can see when she started this was her last quilt and it was never finished, but all of her quilts were all sewn by hand. That's all hand stitching. But I noticed with the other one here, this one is sewn with a sewing machine. So all of her blocks, all of her pieces were sewn together by hand, all her blocks were sewn together by hand, and they were all quilted by hand, which quilting is making these little tiny stitches. Once you've put it together with the backing and the bat in the middle and the squares on the front, then you go through and you make all those tiny stitches like on the outside of this ring and the inside of this ring, and you know, you may do a pattern or something in the middle. It's all hand sewn. All 3 of those pieces are sewn together to hold them together. Or you can tie a quilt, which is in the middle of all of the squares and in the corners, you put a tie of yarn. But anyway, so I don't know if, because I'm thinking that like I did the bouncing bunny, I think I might want to do, because we're going to have a little house here, I think I want to do like green and blue for this. But maybe these flowers could, maybe I'll even cut out some of these flowers. And there is some fabric that's not sewn together into the actual parts of the square here somewhere. So I might cut some of those flowers out for a flower box or something. But let's grab out then, let's do greens and blues. I'll leave that out because maybe that might be like flowers. So there's some blue. And then next week we will pick out what we're going to do for our house and go from there. Ooh, there's not as many greens and blues as I thought there was in here. Another piece of muslin. Ooh, those are really pretty flowers. Those might be good for a flower garden. That's purple. I already have that one. Oh, well, there's not much blue in here. I might actually wind up looking for some more blue because I don't want to put flowers in the sky. I did throw one of those over there, and this has got a lot of blue in it too, but that just doesn't thrill me. So I didn't pull out enough fabric. I didn't think about that exactly when I was pulling it out because I just grabbed a handful of the fabric. Yeah, here's some of the flowers that are not put together yet. Okay, so well, let's see what we do have here. So this one's kind of cute with the little flowers on it. That would already give me flowers in my background. So if I were to put a piece of that on there, and then maybe to break it up a little bit. Is this wide enough? Ooh, those are just wide enough. It's almost like they were made for me. Alrighty, so maybe if I do something like that, and then a blue sky. Okay, so it could be a night. Where's that white piece? I had it there. Well, it's not white, it's muslin, but that's okay. What if I did a night sky and put a moon in the sky? Oh, that would be way too big, but that's still, I think I'm going to just cut this out really quick and put it here. This is not my mom's. That's a piece of something I was messing with, but so I think that maybe we'll put a moon in the dark sky, and it even looks like from up here as I'm looking through the camera, this kind of almost looks starry. It's not really. It's actually kind of, I think it's almost like little roses in here. But it's just kind of an all over abstract pattern. But I like that, and I think that because I really liked the bouncing bunny where it had hills. So I think that I might do this something like this. If that'll fit across the whole page on an angle, it will. All right. So I think that is going to be my background layout. Now I won't put a moon on there until after we do the little cottage on there, because I guess it could be in the background, but we'll see about that. And that is definitely too big. Just kind of cut on the inside of that line and see what we come up with. Oh, not following the lines. Not that good at it. Or maybe we might want a crescent moon, would be kind of cool too. There we go. All right. So I think that is going to be my layout. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tack it down and do a basting stitch. And a basting stitch is just, this is just regular thread. Oh, I just put a knot in it right here. How'd I do that? Oh, there we go. Okay, so a basting stitch, this is how my mom would put her quilts together, is you just take a thread with a knot in it, and you just come up, and this is kind of hard to do. I want to make sure I get it in the right spot, because I think I'm going to, just like with a lot of the others I think that I've already done too, is I like that, I don't know what they call it, but basically it's just a running stitch or like when you see people say slow stitching, that's the stitch they're using, is just a running stitch. But I'm just going to take a great big stitch. I came up right here. I'm going to go down over here. And this is just going to hold it all together while I sew it. And then this will come out. And the only reason I'm using the black thread is because that's what was sitting here on my table when I pulled all of this out. And so you just go ahead and you just baste it down like that. There's no right or wrong, no place to put it or not put it. You just want it to be held to your backing. And that way it's not going to move on you as you're doing all of your other little stitches. So I'm just going to then figure out exactly how I want this. And I do want to rip this. I'm not going to be able to rip it at an angle. But when I put it on here, like that, and then look at that one's, oh, when I cut it off, I cut it that way, but I want this one in the front. So put this one this way, and then put this one this way. And it's covering up the fact that because I put this on an angle, I don't quite fit right there. So if I put this like that, and then just cut this off. Okay, so there we go. And then where's the bottom? It's right here. So there, I'm just going to baste it together like that, and that will be my backing. And then I'll figure out how I'm going to do my wonky house, how big I'm going to do my wonky house. I'm going to put a moon up there, and that's going to be my backing. So I'll be back next week. This will all be tacked down. Then we'll figure out what we're going to do for the little tiny house. Thank you very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.